All right, so I just posted my Cash App, and you guys see the title. So obviously, I have a new studio mic I'll be using for my second channel where I will be making meditations, affirmation meditations, and such. And yeah, got a new ring light, got a new mic, got a new computer. I'll probably be getting a new computer because the one I have is right now is a Chromebook, and it's really just good for streaming and stuff. So it'll be like a backup, definitely. Let me push the mic back. Just let me go. Let me know if you guys can hear me. So I have 11 pages of notes, guys. 11 fucking pages of notes. Crazy. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, so I have 11 pages of notes. Well, actually, yeah, so I can sit back. So we're gonna get into it. This is going to be. I don't know. I don't know how long this lecture is going to be. It's going to be fairly interesting though. But we're going to start with the libations. Like the great Bobby Hemmett always, said to, be good to just a lot, libate yourself, libate your house, not just for when you're giving lectures or on YouTube talking, whatever. You know, it's always good. The science, I've given the science of lectures. When you're saying ashe just means power. So you're giving power to a certain energy to come in and, help protect, the environment, yourself, everybody, any environment are watching, and keep things out is one of the main things as well, to keep people out from remote viewing and spying, and also you can tap into those energies. You see what I'm saying? There's many different reasons why. So Ashe Thanos, Ashe to my higher self, Ashe to Huti, Ashe to the real Great Mother, Ashe Sophia, Ashe Heru, Ashe Het Heru, Ashe Athena, Ashe Diana. Oh, crap. Oh, we good. Ashe Isis, Ashe Osiris. You just go randomly, however you go. You can shout out whoever, whenever. I'm just going by what I can, think of right now. Ashe Sekhmet, Ashe Bastet, Ashe Anubis, Ashe Ganesha, Ashe Lakshmi, Ashe Kalima. To all ancestors known and unknown, Ashe. To all gods and goddesses known unknown, and unknown, Ashe. So we got that out the way. And that's just how we do it. I just learned that from watching Bobby Hemmett lectures. It's very important. It's a very key thing to do. All right. So you see the title. So we're going to get into it. So the veil of the mother. Now, you've probably heard of the veil of Isis, the veil of Sophia, the veil that she put over her children and whatnot, the veil of the Great Mother, period. And you've heard about it and you think you know what it is until you don't. But it's like, what do we really even know? That's the thing. What do we really even know? So I'm gonna go deep into it. Like I said, I got 11 pages of notes that I took. I kind of like to have some sort of a structure sometimes when I have these type of detailed videos. Excuse me. But when I have detailed videos like this, a friend of mine and myself got to channeling shit and going through mythology and different things like that, and we find out some shit, and she's like, "Oh shit, you need to make a video on it." Shout out to her. Shout out to Gail. I did text her, but she may not. She may have to get the like her and everybody else might have to get the playback, because y'all know I come on at odd times, just when I'm fucking ready. You know, it's been a few weeks since I've come on last. So the veil of the mother. So what is the veil? You know, what is the veil? It's something that's widely referenced and talked about. Like I said, the veil of Isis, the veil of the mother. But what is it, or what could it be? So basically, the veil is melanin. Now I know what you're thinking. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about? We're gonna get into it. I did the Science of Melanin video. Melanin is the Holy Trinity. You can get some keys from that in there. I would reference it more as neuromelanin, but we're gonna go over it and why the veil is important, because in all of these mythologies and sciences and all over the conscious community, I was talking about pushing the veil back. It can be a very dangerous thing. But also, we ain't no bitches, so I believe we can take care of ourselves on that level, to where if the veil is pushed back, which it has been now, we will fight back and we will be victorious. So I'm gonna start off with the story of Isis and Ra. In a nutshell. I'm not gonna give it verbatim. You can look up the story of Isis and Ra, so basically Isis and Ra were going at it, and Ra wanted to see beyond the veil of Isis. And Ra in the story, now that I'm doing this video, I see in that particular state of being, Ra, aka the sun god, would equal the Demi-Urge, Yaldabaoth, in Christianity, because he's trying to push back the veil of the mother put to protect her children, and he was able to do so. So that mythology is playing out right now. He pushed it back. It was really more playing out through like the whole Bill Gates shit, but I'm gonna get to that. Trust me, I'm gonna get to that. And he pushed back the veil of Isis by figuring out her name, her secret name. So he was able to see beyond the veil, or behind the veil. There's no such thing as beyond the veil, really. It's behind it. And he knew what was behind it. He just didn't know how much of what he knew behind it was. So basically, the veil is melanin, aka neuromelanin, the veil that protects the children of light, aka the children of the sun and the emerald tablets. And the mother veiled those who have and harbor the essence. The essence will be soul force. So anytime you hear essence in a book, they're referring, when you're studying, occultism or spirituality, they're subtly referring to melanin, or aka soul force. We're going to say neuromelanin. So, the mother veiled those who had the essence bestowed upon them. Okay? So not everybody has soul force. Everybody has a spirit, but not everybody has soul force. Okay? Those who did not get the soul force, empty seaters, generally got something else. Okay? So there's the primordial deities. Okay? There's the primordial realm. The primordial deity went ahead and sprinkled, those deities, and you can say the Great Mother gave many people some ashe, soul force. Okay? And if you look at the story of Sophia and Yaldabaoth, that would be very enlightening as to what I'm talking about. So basically, Yaldabaoth is a jealous god. He is a subordinate deity. Subordinate deity is a deity who was under someone, a god who was under someone. There is somebody above them, aka the primordial gods and goddesses, most notably the Great Mother. When she's going around sprinkling, they're sprinkling the primordial ashe onto everybody, and Yaldabaoth didn't get none. He's mad. So basically what Yaldabaoth did, he started to put his spirit into other beings who didn't get it, or he would tamper with beings so that it would fuck with the whole, so basically his spirit is archonic. His spirit is that of an archon. The archonic spirit comes from Yaldabaoth. So if I've explained archons on my channel before, and basically, what he does is when he creates, he puts his spirit into certain beings, empty seeders, and they are basically working for him. Archangels, okay? Because most of the fallen angels are archangels. So that's when the tree of life comes into play and the backside of the tree. But the fallen angels are nothing but angels who have descended. Because the opposite of those fallen angels is just a state of being, their state of being when they were in ascended master. So when you have ascended masters who descended, these archangels come around and let Yaldabaoth know what the fuck to do. Like how he could really turn up around this motherfucker. But that's a whole different story. So Yaldabaoth goes around giving certain people, certain beings who don't get soul force, or certain, beings that he made sure didn't get it because he, and because basically what he did was he used trauma. He used trauma to create archonic spirits inside of mainly women, because women are the portals. So like when women are raped and they get pregnant by their rapist, that baby receives an archonic spirit. It disturbs the whole process of the soul coming in. The soul's not going to come into that body. It just is what it is. The soul force could probably save it. But then again, that archon could just go, attach itself in such a way where the soul force comes in and it just leeches off of that person's soul force on a whole nother level of energy vampirism. So maybe that's why soul force doesn't come into, bodies like that. So now you have this baby that is born as an archon working for Yaldabaoth. Don't even know. It's going to grow up acting as such. So this is how Yaldabaoth creates his minions, through trauma. Through trauma of pregnant women and different things like that. That's just one way. The other way is draining people's soul force. They are influenced by by the spirits of Archons who have not incarnated into bodies so much, that their actions speak of that, and they drain their soul force away. And when that soul force is drained away, and the soul force, here's a paradox. It's infinite, okay? So basically what happens is the primordial beings cut them off from source. So once this person gets to the point where, the soul force or the light, the inner light, because the soul is really the inner sun, solar, it's dimming. That light is dimming. So it gets to the point where that light is Demi-Urge is dimming. It's dimmed down to its lowest force. They get cut off from source, from who? Primordial beings who are tapped into the source of the essence. And there are not many primordial beings here, but they are waking up. The great old ones are waking up. I can attest to that. That's all I'm going to say. 100%. That's all I'm going to say. And they have the power to cut people off from source. And those people who get cut off from source, in order to do certain things, certain levels of manifestations, to sustain their life, they have to vamp. That is the essence of these elite motherfuckers in this world who traffic, children and all that, Hollywood and all that. They're energy vampires, sucking at the solar force, and the soul or the solar plexus is where they're drawing the shit from. Because the heart is a very important key. It comes in through the heart, and then it goes up, and then it goes down. And down and out. That's what it's saying, down and out. Yes, sir. But the solar plexus, the sun chakra, basically, is where that solar force is going to rest. these Demi-Urge and beings and these Archons are able to feed from that area. So that is that. So that's the veil. If you're just now coming in, I'm seeing people coming in. What's up? Hit the like button, comment, subscribe, and all that goodness. So the eternal sun, or the black sun, is that that's pretty much the force that is spoken of in Star Wars when they say, let be one with the force. So they reference the force over and over and over. Let the force be with you. It's solar energy. They call it Star Wars for a reason. The sun is a star. Sun Wars. Okay. Our sun isn't the only sun, but that's just something for another day. So basically, the soul is the well that all life is birthed from and fed from. Okay? So those who have the force, those who are born with the force, and those who feed off of it. It is the well. Think of it as an undying well, but people can be cut off from that source. You can cut people off from source if you have a high enough frequency, if you're a primordial being. That's a whole different science. We can do things, certain people can do things they don't know that they can do. We're cut off from those type of things for a reason. So the soul force is a form of gold on the inside, literally. So if you have a lot of gold on the inside, spiritually, a lot of the soul force, I call it spiritual currency. Okay. And if it's being fed off of spiritual adrenochrome, that's I covered that topic in my last video. That's what people are making out of you, spiritual adrenochrome. But that spiritual force, you have a lot of that. It's going to be so hard for you to find abundance on this plane since you already have so much of it in, on the inside in a spiritual way. That you can see people who do and who haven't given it up, because there'll be that business person or that maybe sometimes even a celebrity, but I'll go into the whole celebrity aspect. People that you can see, and their story was so hard compared to lots of other people, who did what they did. It's like, imagine, they looked the right part, they were the right part, they had all the right tools, to say pop off on a social media platform that people have done with less and gotten famous for. And they had, all of the right tools and everything, and it took them so long to do so, or they just have that hard, grueling story, but they made it. They have a lot of that spiritual gold inside of them, and a lot of soul force. Okay? And those in Hollywood who do have soul force, who have made it, and you can see abundance flows through them very, very, very effective and efficiently on this plane. What they are doing is they're selling their blood. They're, because that blood contains what? The spiritual currency, the melanin in it. The soul force, because the blood is a form of your soul force in the physical, because it is your life force. It is a physical form of your life force. They're probably giving it to certain people, and in exchange for riches, fame, this, that, the other. And when they start to become these people that are doing that, notably those who have the soul force, they start to become sickly looking, all of that. So what they have to do is they have to start feeding that exact way, and it's a cycle, and they get stuck in it, and they get fucked up. That's what we call selling your soul, literally. Okay. So basically, the soul force is a form of gold or spiritual currency. It has the power to sustain life in many ways. Hence, the reason why energy vamps want and need it so bad. Basically, most energy vampires are all archons or archonic in nature. I'm just going to put it to you like that. They either have some sort of archonic nature, and like I said, I have 11 pages of notes. So I'm reading from my notes, and I'm going to, go from them. But archonic spirits or archons are nothing but spirits of the Demi-Urge. Like I said, Yaldabaoth, those born from the spirit of Yaldabaoth do not have soul force. Fuck. They do not have soul force. Some have either squandered it, they were born with soul force, and, they were influenced by the Archons, by that Yaldabaoth spirit, and then they were cut off from source, because when they're influenced by these Archons, they're acting out of that influence, doing fucking terrible things. And they get cut off, man. It happens. It happens. We're all being watched by these beings. A great old one can be right there in front of you and you not even know. So some have squandered it, or some, they just straight got cut off, or both, or however. And thus the spirit of the Demi-Urge, because they've been cut off now, or they squandered that soul force and then been cut off, what the spirit of the Demi-Urge was able to come inside of them. And that is, in essence, of how how Christians ask you to accept Christ into your heart. See, that's a fucked up thing. When you accept this Christian God into your heart, just know the Christian God is the Demi-Urge. That means you accept the Demi-Urge into your fucking heart chakra. That's why these Christians out here fucked up. Now, that does not say anything about the Bible. The Bible is a totally different beast. It's an esoteric occult book. It's a very well-rounded book. You just have to know how to decode it, and you have to know what you're looking at. Okay? The Bible can either enslave you, or it can, it can enlighten you. It will enlighten the wise one, basically. The wise one will be enlightened by a book like the Bible. And that comes from a lecture I was watching by Santos Bonacci earlier. He said that. And that's totally true. The Bible will either enslave you, because you take it literally, or it will enlighten you, because it is an occult book, whether you like it or not. Do not tie that book to the religion. It is in the religion, but not of the religion. It's in the religion because they use it. There's so many versions of it that they use. So basically, when you accept Christ into your heart, Jesus Christ, the Christ of, this fake Christ energy, it's actually an Archon posing as that. So basically, you're accepting an Archon into your heart. That's what fucking Christians do all day. So when Christians ask you if you want to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior and accept Jesus into your heart, fuck that. Fuck that. And what's up, Lotus? What is up? We gotta do tarot on our Instagram Live sometimes. It's me and you. It's been a while. It has been a while. 100%. But where was I? Oh yeah. So basically, let's bridge the gap. I'm gonna bridge the gap. I'm gonna fucking bridge the gap. So basically, let's talk about Bill Gates. Now, how Bill Gates ties into all of this. If you go back and watch the beginning of the lecture when I'm talking about the veil, okay, the physical form of the veil we're gonna get into Bill Gates. We're gonna understand what the fuck he's been doing just a little bit more. So let's bridge the gap. So Bill Gates has outwardly been trying to block the sun by spraying clouds and chemtrails. Okay, so he's been trying to block the sun. He does that so all those with bright lights, the bright shiny ones, will be revealed due to the fact that the Earth's physical veil, aka the ionosphere, when he sprays those things and he cloud seeds, him and his people, his scientists, they do those things. What happens is the ionosphere has now been fucked up enough to where there is no ionosphere. It has been destroyed. Now, can it be recreated? Who knows? I think that it can be. What has been destroyed can be created again. Alchemy. So you know, let's not get too afraid. Let's not get afraid whatsoever. Fuck that. We can recreate it, but they did that to destroy their science of darkness, to destroy the ionosphere, which is the veil between us and the sun. So it's, they call it global warming. Also, if you add in the fact that they're doing that spraying shit and people are coming into enlightenment at the same time, it's getting really fucking warm. There's no more ionosphere to filter things, to filter the sun. So it's getting naturally, because that's getting really fucking hot in places where it shouldn't. That's why they had to cloud seed, and use and manipulate the weather this winter in places like Illinois and shit, and make it snow, or else it would have been fucking 70 degrees the whole time, or 50, 60 degrees. It would have been winter in places where they normally get feet of snow. People would actually, because people would start asking questions. So that's one aspect. So the physical veil, aka the ionosphere, is no more. It's been destroyed, and that's why Beyonce said she popped the top off the Maybach. What do you think she was referring to? I forgot what song that was. Just look up those lyrics from her. She popped the top off the Maybach. She said that. That was code. That was coded information. She was telling you there is no more ionosphere. Bill Gates and them then popped the top off the Maybach, and we in this bitch chilling. Okay. The crown chakra, aka the corona, has been damaged. Of the sun, and also the earth's, crown has been damaged. But it's really what they really did. I don't even say damaged. I would say it's going to work backwards for them. It always works backwards for them. So it's letting information in anyway. So fuck that. So now the veil of protection is being lifted at this time. So energy vampires have been, in a feeding frenzy. They've been feeding like crazy, but to their dismay, we're fighting back and we're kicking their ass. They didn't expect us to fight back. But now that the veil is lifted, the veil of the veil of Isis, the veil of Sophia, the protection from the real Great Mother has given us. Not none of these false Great Mothers out here. Watch out for these bitches portraying to be the Great Mother. They are not. I'm just gonna say that. They are not. They are Archons. But the veil that the Great Mother have put over all the bright, shiny ones, all of those with huge, bright lights, we have to fight now. We're kicking their ass. We're waking the fuck up to our power, and we're kicking their ass. They didn't expect that. The veil will come back down over us. Just know that. Just know that. So just as quick as the veil was lifted, it will be put back over us. After all, it is our first line of defense. The veil is like the Marines. It's our first line of defense given to us by the real Great Mother, Sophia, Isis, whatever you want to call it. Sophia in the mythology, Sophia put a crystalline dew in us. The crystalline dew, aka neuromelanin, aka the pineal gland. And then a veil over us, okay? That was like the veil. So basically, the veil would equal the fifth element. Anybody ever seen a movie, The Fifth Element? The veil will be the fifth element, okay? And that will be spirit. So that our spirit protects our soul in a way. Because our spirit is active. The spirit is active. It is a state of being, aka protection. See how that works? The spirit also derives from the soul as well. Okay, so just know that. So now we're gonna get into the second half of the lecture. I'm gonna slow it down. I'm gonna drink some water. I'm gonna slow it down. Because this shit right here, It's something else. It's something else. Again, me and Gail figured this shit out. We figured this shit out. I'm telling you. We be on the phone and shit talking about this shit. And, one of my homegirls down, that she's been in this shit with me recently, and like we just been figuring shit out every single day for weeks now. And then she just say, hey, you need to make a video. And what I do, I get my notes together. I'm on my Thoth shit, my Tahuti shit, and I just go the fuck in. So we're going to talk about mythology, states of being, and living forever. Like, how is that even possible to live forever? It's very possible. Just not how you thought. Immortality is a whole different subject, a whole different beast on its own. The Egyptians figured it out. They studied death and they studied life and they figured this shit out. Okay. We are in the cycle of death and this plane being manifested on Earth, which is why the Egyptians studied death. Because when you die is when you really live. You go to the plane of life. It's the opposite. That's why everything in this plane fucking decays. Okay? Everything decays. And for it to not decay, it has to be inserted forward into the consciousness of enough people to keep the shit going in forms of perpetual cycles, to where it will continuously and always be perpetuated until somebody puts an end to it. That is how you live forever, and in essence, in a nutshell. But I'm going to dive into it deeper. So, mythologies and ancient stories were and are states of being, aka vibrations and frequencies. But they're also prophecies. Okay? They're also prophecies. Like I said, I got 11 fucking pages of notes, y'all. Bear with me. So these mythologies are prophecies. So some of them are for that time, okay, for that time that they were living in ancient Egypt, and then the rest, and then that they would take that mythology and they may keep it the same, or they will rewrite it. Generally, they'll rewrite it, and they'll rewrite it in a polarity, or they'll write an inverted version of it, or just another version of it. And that was for prophecy. Because most mythologies that we can go back and read are actually playing out right now as prophecy and not played out back then. They played out a similar mythology. Okay. They own little shit. So I'm going to go into that. Like I said, I'm going through 11 pages of notes, y'all. So basically, the Egyptians, they were the first to use scribing as a form of a super or hyper-sigil. So a super-sigil or a hyper-sigil coined by Grant Morrison. He's the writer. He's one of the major writers for DC Comics and Marvel Comics. He's one of the people that, he's a Scottish man, but one of the people behind some of the greatest films that have been made superhero-wise because of his comics. And if you go look up Grant Morrison's, I'm going to type it in the chat. So you guys can look this shit up. This is crazy. A friend of mine sent it to me. Type this in to YouTube. What I just put in, you type that shit into YouTube, you should be able to find it. There's an 8-minute piece and then there's the whole 45, 50-minute lecture on it. You can go look that up afterwards, or now it don't really matter. But he goes into hyper-sigils and or super-sigils, and basically that would be what that is like hyper-sigil, super-sigil, or basically if you're into the law of attraction community, it's like a more advanced and magical form of scripting, but it's way more detailed. It's way more fucking advanced. Way more fucking advanced. So basically, you do like a regular sigil, okay? You have this art form that you do. So say you're a musician, like myself, a writer, screenwriter, and such things. So you have an art form. You're a painter, you draw, whatever. You have an art form. However you express yourself. Throat chakra shit. However you express yourself. You take that art form and you turn it into a hyper sigil. So I think like the first step is to make a regular sigil with intent. A bunch of regular sigils if you have different characters, or this is just one method. There's many methods of the hyper sigil. So you make a regular sigil, how you would normally make it, and then you add that into, say, your art form. Somehow you find a way to add that into the art form. So like what I would do if I was a writer, okay, I would go and if I wanted to manifest something, I would make a story out of it, like a little short story. And I would go in with the intention of manifesting a certain thing. So whatever I'm manifesting, I write a short story of me, enjoying having it and enjoying that thing. Okay. And then that is the sigil. Okay. What makes it a hyper sigil is when you show it to people. Or a super sigil. It's a sigil on steroids. Okay. So if I go out in public with a sigil, with a t-shirt, and it has a sigil on it, that sigil on that t-shirt becomes hyper or super. Because now all of these people, like if you go out into a crowd where there's a bunch of people, fucking COVID kind of ruined that, but you get the idea. What they will do when seeing it will go straight into their subconscious mind, and they will help you manifest what is on that shirt. So that if I, write a story about me having some sort of abundance and prosperity in my life, whatever it is I desire, I drop it on my blog, I put it on my Facebook, put it on my Instagram, put it where a bunch of people are going to see it and read it, with the intent to manifest this, they will help me manifest that. Okay. Like Grant Morrison speaks about how when he figured out that this shit worked or was working, because this is all quantum physics, you're fucking with the quantum realm. And this is going to go back to the Egyptians coined this shit. This is Grant Morrison just coined the modern day pop version of it. You see what I'm saying? Pop magic. You can attribute pop culture magic to him. It's a very big thing. But what he did realize is one of his characters that was him, based upon him, is based after him in one of his comic books, was in the hospital in the comic book and almost died. And then later on, he almost died in the hospital of the same exact, handful of complications this character had. So then what he did was he went and wrote in his comic book and, had it drawn out and everything, him getting this, this girl and having sex with this girl. Next thing you know, in real life, he's having sex with that same specific girl that was in his life. He modeled it after her. And then what else happened is a bunch of different mirrors of this girl, a bunch of different other women that looked like her or had her personality and whatnot, showed up in his life and banged him. It's easy. Super sigils, man, they work. That's why the Egyptians only wrote out, they scribed these mythologies because it was just as if it were spoken, and it would be spoken by people. Not only was it written, it was spoken by people because people would tell these stories to their children. Okay. So the ancient kings and queens and pharaohs and pharaohesses, pharaohs, or I forgot the female version of the pharaohs, but the ancient pharaohs alike in Egypt and other ancient societies, also, those considered living gods and goddesses. And we're going to, that's a whole different thing, living gods and goddesses. If you study the mythology, those were the ones who had the temples built. They weren't just these spirits that were venerated. They were living people, living beings. Okay, that's why certain kings and queens thought they were gods incarnated in the flesh. And now they're being venerated now as a god or goddess. That's all, Jay-Z always uses hyper-sigils. Yeah, Jay-Z. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. Most of these, so high up celebrities, they know about this science. The science of the scribe is something. It's too OP. It's fucking way out there. So a lot of these living gods and goddesses lived out the mythology they wrote via Thoth and his consort Shashat. Okay, I've been doing some research on them, and it's fucking out there. They were the ones. They were the ones. She had a part of Shashat is in every temple of Egypt. Every temple, even though she didn't have her own temple, that's okay because she was every fucking where. If there was a temple, her essence was there. You missed quite a bit, Daryl. You missed about 40 something minutes, but you can always go back and rewatch. It's okay. So when you talk about Thoth and Shashat, his consort, they also that's going to take you down the path to describe. But also, the Egyptians didn't believe in just writing everything down. That's where the term written in stone came from, or made in stone, or it was written, because it was going to take you a long time to write some shit down in stone. Now we record everything, anything, there's a reason, there's an occult reason why, but there's also just because it's also easier to do so. It brings about a lot of chaos. It's okay, Daryl. It's all good. It's all good. You just go back and watch. You can go back and you can go back and catch the replay. But yeah, a lot of chaos is created now because we write every fucking thing down. The Egyptians didn't just write everything down. That's because there's a reason. There's a reason behind that. I'm going to get to it. Basically. That's where, like I said, the term "it was written" came from, or "written in stone" came from. That it comes from that time because they wrote things down in stone tablets. Okay, so meaning future. Okay, so basically, it was written or written in stone really means future. It really means in things indicative of the future, or prophecy, which is now called hyper-sigils or super-sigils. AKA mythology that they wrote down. They just wrote things into being using these mythologies. So basically, it's essentially just as powerful, if not more, than speaking things into being, writing them down. That's why they tell you write your goals out. Why? It's a form of a sigil. It's a form of speaking. It's a form of communication of things. Okay. A form of communication, write your goals and your desires down. You can use this science that I'm dropping for anything that you want to manifest. And now it almost seems once you understand everything a lot more, you can say, oh, okay, that's why they say write this shit down. Now you're really going to do it, and you're going to have more confidence in it manifesting. Sometimes that's just what you need. Sometimes that's just what you need. You've been having radical dreams about Anubis, aka Anpu. You should you can decode that. Just what does Anubis mean in those dreams? Look that up, or just think about. Also think about what is Anubis's role, what's his energy, and search him, read his mythology, and then kind of relate that to the dreams you've been having and see how that corresponds for you. But basically, these certain states of being stay around, aka these vibrations, aka these mythologies. They stay around because these mythologies and stories are told for millions and millions of years, or thousands of years. So basically, the spirit of those whom those stories and mythologies were for, they can live forever through these mythologies that are still being told and incarnate or reincarnate into a physical vessel that aligns with that energy or is aligning with that mythology. Okay, that physical vessel comes into life and aligns with that mythology throughout that life. Okay, thus basically they are able to live forever without having to vamp, without having to be an energy vampire, living through these legends, aka living legends. Living legends. That's kind of how it goes. That's why the ancient people, especially in Egypt during the time of Tahuti and Shashat, they only wrote down that which they wished to endure, aka that which they wish to live over and over again, because the written word, aka legend, would live for on. It would live forever. It would live on and on and on and on. That's why a lot of the world is the way it is. If you study mythology, you can see it playing out as prophecy right now. All different mythologies, all different states of being. Okay, Osiris has many states of being. Okay, Osiris rises in the morning. Okay, so basically, it isn't just the mythology of Osiris getting chopped up. There's the story of Osiris that I told that I told in my last video that has not been unearthed probably anywhere else. There's all sorts of there's stories where he's the original fuckboy. There's stories where he's the hero. That is because it's a state of being that people were playing out. And as long as people were playing out, then these energies could live on and live forever through all of these different people living out these mythologies. These motherfucking Egyptians, bro, and all these different other, ancient deities, they are not no chumps in this game. And then there's Yaldabaoth. Like, come on now. Come on. So, basically, it's all a state of being. Set, Osiris, Anubis, Isis, all of these deities are just states of being. Okay, they're just spirits and energies that have a certain vibration or frequency that you can step into. That's why you can embody multiple different deities in their energies, and because you vibe with them, you vibe with multiple deities, and you look at your life, and your life is indicative of the story or the mythology. It's because you're playing out that mythology right now, because that mythology was fucking prophecy. They already lived out their shit. That prophecy was so that they could keep living through you. That is that extra ashe. That's that primordial essence everybody got. Not everybody, but most people got. And then there's other people who live out a different type of mythology, a very archonic one. It's very centered in Yaldabaoth and the archangels and shit. And the arc, aka an arc of light, a refraction of light. An archangel. Just look up them. The archangels are in their fallen state down here. They're in their fallen state down here. And because most of the archangels, if not all of them, are fallen angels. So that means they're in the underworld. So that means they're not who we thought that they were. They work for Yaldabaoth. But there's also a mythology where they're good, because they talk about the 14 archangels. So the opposite of them, you can work with the ascended versions of them. Okay? So it's how it goes. It's a state of being. So that's pretty much the lecture for the night. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of the night. Let me see. Let me answer some questions. XXX Tentacion uses this in his own ritual to escape this round. Huh. My homie Gail, she's a big X fan. She got me into decoding some of his shit lately. So, who knows? I might do a decoding video. I might not. Just depends if I can find out more. If I can articulate it and different things like that. But thank you guys. I love y'all. I got the Cash App in here unless you want to, in case you want to donate. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to drop the Etsy shop in the comments for all your spiritual goodies. Etsy.com/ There you go. Thank y'all. Thank you, Gail. Thank you. Um, this is the lecture for the night, for a while till I come up, till I want to drop some more shit on y'all, till I got more shit really to drop on y'all. But I feel like this is information that isn't being said. Also, I gave out solutions to these energy vampires in multiple different videos now, so you can go back and watch that. There are solutions. Just know these motherfuckers ain't gonna get away with just ripping the veil back, popping the top off the Maybach, basically, and siphoning off our light, because we are kicking their ass right now, whether we think so or not. Great old ones are awake. So I love y'all. Peace. I'm out.